Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. My name is Ruru and I am a TV frickin' holic.
My name is Mimi and I'm a TV holic.
So this is season 5, episode 10 of Singles Inferno, and we're on part 3.
Okay. So Go-Eun and I-Geon are now in their room in paradise, and he first says, "Do you mind if we rest a bit? But I need your." This is weird. So he was like, "But I need your help to get something out of my nail. I can't tell if it's sand or dry blood." So I don't know if that is like sexy, like. But then I
I
thought
feel
in
like
my
it's a
mind
way
he was
for them
trying to
both to
get
get close.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's probably his way of trying to get
Because he could have just asked. He could have asked like one of the medical team or something like that.
But like digging in your nails, I don't want to dig in your nails.
Ugh. No, but it's like, it's like a physical connection thing.
Yeah. I think he was thinking of it like that, like a good icebreaker as well.
Yeah.
So she gets a pair of tweezers.
And he's got something stuck in his finger.
Yeah, he genuinely probably does.
Yeah.
He obviously does. So she gets a pair of tweezers, and in the end, he ends up saying it hurts too much to take it out. So I guess I'll just leave it. And then she says, "Okay," and then he goes, "All right, good." And she says, "Good," because again, he's being a bit informal the way he talks. And they start laughing. And then she sits on the bed and she's like, "If you hadn't won and you were second, who would you have come with?" And he was like, "Maybe Ha-eun, but Ha-eun likes Jae-jin." So then he was like, because we were in a position where we could find out about each other, even though I was denying it to myself, I think I was wondering how much you knew about me, like what I had picked up on and what kind of person you thought I was. I think it was a shame we hadn't got any time together. And she says, "Yeah, I agree. I think that was holding me back at first." He says, "Me too. I think that's what got me confused about my feelings for you at first, because I couldn't work you out and didn't know what you thought of me." And she says, "Yeah, she gets it." She says, "After our first conversation, when we thought we might have a mutual acquaintance, I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't have told him. Maybe we should disregard that and just start from scratch." So, which I said in the ages ago, like I think that may have influenced her in the beginning of what she'd heard of him.
Yeah,
And
both of them.
the
Likewise.
bad boy thing, yeah. Likewise, yeah.
And it's also a bit like intimidating, like, because are they going to talk to like if like something happens between us, are they going to talk to the mutual acquaintance about us and things like that? Like,
Yeah, because remember he did say, "Oh, that asshole."
Yeah.
When she said, "Oh, who's our mutual friend," kind of thing, and then he was like, "Oh, yeah, that asshole."
I'm guessing it's someone that she dated and that he's friends with. Like, it's not something he dated in the past. That's why he's calling him an asshole. And that's what my guess is. I don't know. Because even though I've watched everything and I've watched the reunion as well, I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
So, she said you were really impressive in the game, and he says, "Yeah, I'm the new strong man here, I guess."
Oh, side note, I just want to say that Go-Eun and Hyeon from last season, they went to Paris Fashion Week together recently. Or Milan or something. Yeah, Paris. Yeah, so they went.
Yeah,
they did all that. I think they got invited. Did you see that on social media?
No, but I know Paris fashion, like the fashion weeks are on, because I saw like all the
so they're
Lisa,
there.
All the K-pop.
Yeah, so I think they got invited by brands like Chanel and things like that. So they've gone together.
Makes sense.
Like they're having like fun and things like that. They look like
Chanel's a definite like Korean brand. Like I feel like they do really well because it's very clean and very like pretty. They do well with like Korean models.
Aesthetic, yeah. And also, I think that Xian and what's his name are still together.
Okay,
they don't announce it. It's in the culture to keep everything quiet. Like they don't. It's very secretive because people like get really upset and jealous, like because they have those parasocial relationships with the people that they're watching and listening, and then they get people get like
they want to be known as single. Yeah. They want it's like any boy band and stuff. They want the audience to think they're single. Yeah.
No, but the audience gets really upset and like they get death threats and things like that, and that's why.
Yeah. So he says, "I'm the new strong man here," because he won the game, and she says, "Exactly, the strong man, Joo-young," saying his whole name, And she asked, "Did you root for me for her when she was in her challenge game?" And he says, "No, because I knew you wouldn't pick me at that point, so I was praying for you to lose." And she shows, so that they start laughing, and then she shows him her scratch on her arm. And she says, "I got scratched by that cat, Hesson." Like, I think she was being like funny about it, like not like
Yeah.
calling her a bitch kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he says, "Heston was quite impressive in the challenge." And she says, "Oh, and I wasn't?" He laughs and says, "Oh, maybe a little, but Heston was just so dominant in the game. Her facial expression, everything was just so cool." And she says, "Why didn't you just take Heston then?" And he says, "I wanted to." And then they start laughing, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, minus 50 points. I'm leaving. You can have dinner alone."
Yeah, but I
And
think
she's
he's
like,
just
"Why would you
negging.
say that about another girl in front of
Yeah, but this is
me?"
the fuck boyness coming out of him. He's negging.
I literally wrote that in my notes. I was like, this is where the fuckboy side is coming out. Like,
Yeah.
she won't feel. She will always have this thing where she'll never feel completely safe with him, I feel.
Hmm.
And
But
that in her mind right now might be a deterrent still. I don't know.
but also that is playful banter as well. That he thinks it's
It's
playful
also
banter as well.
yeah, it's also
Yeah.
playful banter.
But he's not
Um,
interested. She knows as well. He's not interested at all in Heston. He spent no time with her.
oh, I know. So
So
he says,
like,
"You're."
she shouldn't take it seriously.
No, I
Like
know.
minus blah blah
He
point.
says, "You're one to talk. Even today, you were out talking. You're unbelievable." Like with Sung-min, like
Yeah,
which is true.
exactly. He's
Which is
right. He's
true.
right.
He's not pursued anyone. He's not really pursued anyone, and
Yeah,
she is
yeah.
like with everyone. Like
No, he did.
in
He
his
did
eyes,
in the
in his
beginning.
yeah. But I mean, yeah. But
Yeah,
she's got
Ye-jin.
all these guys for like ages, and he's like, "You're
Yeah,
doing it right in my face, so please."
exactly.
He says, well,
Double
all this is all
standard.
very light-hearted, obviously. Still, so
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm a busy girl. You need to ask me out on dates well in advance."
Yeah, but it's good she's got standards as well, like that. Like she puts
Yeah.
herself up there.
And he says, "I couldn't believe it when I saw you out walking today. Like, get some sleep. Why aren't you sleeping? Like, why are you with this guy 24/7?" And she says, "Tomorrow I'll go out walking with you, okay?" And he says, "No, I'm going to go to sleep." Um,
I like that as well. That he's very like he's not like, oh, let me follow you around like a puppy dog like the other two. Like that's so annoying and gross.
anyway, they go back and forth a little bit, but then they agree to do like a lap in the morning around the pool, like as a joke. And then he says, "Are you messing with me?" And he playfully hits her on the leg, and she says, "You can't do that, it's too early." And then she asks, "Are you the like jealous type?" And he says, "Yes, totally. When I like someone a lot, I find it hard to control myself. It kind of scares me actually, because it's hard to control my emotions. It's hard to control my actions or my life sometimes in those moments." And she says, "Seems
Well,
like
that's a
you
bit scary. That sounds like he could be like, like domestic violence kind of thing. Not saying that he is, but like
can
you
interpret
know,
it." But
yeah,
he
essay kind of thing. Not essay, but I mean
that's probably what.
essay.
But in that moment, him saying that is probably like, "Oh, she likes that because like I get really jealous
Yeah.
and stuff." And she says, "Seems like you fall really hard." And he says, "Yeah, I'm kind of a hopeless romantic." He asks her, and she says, "Yeah, I get jealous a lot too." And then they notice it's raining a lot. They get in bed, and she asks, so they're like side by side, and she's like, "Can you open the curtain a bit more?" And he says, "What? It's already open all the way." And like it was like a little ditzy moment, I guess they were making it sound like. And the hosts start laughing. He gets up and he opens it a tiny bit more. There's like a little room to open it a bit more. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's perfect." They're looking out at the rain, and he says, "I feel so content right now. I don't think I'll ever forget this moment. Like, it's just
Yeah,
happy
it was
moment,
really
looking
cute
out the
and like
rain." Yeah. But like, you say that, like, you find rain really calming and relaxing.
yeah,
I've
I
never
do.
had that until more recently. I've started really, like, appreciating, like, the rain and the seasons and stuff. So I can understand it. At this point, I do understand, like, it's
Good.
just calming
Thank God
looking
you finally
outside.
appreciate the seasons.
Yeah, I really do. Everything comes with age, you know?
Hmm.
So, the hosts say Egon is very charming and playful. Like, we've seen a
Yes, he
bit
is.
of
Yeah,
everything. He's been
great,
charming, but then,
great
yeah.
character, I think.
So, Go-Eun and Sung-min feel like friends. They say Go-Eun and Sung-min feel like friends, and Go-Eun and Egon actually feel like a couple. And they're laughing because they're like, "Why do we panelists keep pushing, not judges,
Yeah,
panelists?
Pamela.
Why do these panelists keep pushing? Why do we keep pushing her towards Egon?" Like, obviously they're feeling what we're all feeling the
Yeah,
same,
we're
right?
all
Like, there's
feeling the
this
same thing.
drawing
There's something
feeling.
there. There's
Yeah.
something there,
So if
clearly.
we're seeing that, then it has to be right, right?
Yeah.
So Kyung-hyun, one of the hosts, says she acts totally different around Egon, and they seem like a couple.
Yeah.
So then they go to the splash park, and Egon asks, "Who did you come with last time?" And she says, "Sungmin." And he said to the splash park. And then he was like, oh, that asshole. And then that's what we're all thinking as well, a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as asshole, but that idiot.
Oh, yeah.
So female hosts say, oh, that's hot. Because he's like,
Well, he's
that
a rival.
asshole,
Yeah,
like
because
he's
they're
fighting
rivals.
words. Yeah. And then Jin-young says, look, he's older, he can talk like that. His way of speaking has grown on, so
Yeah.
they all say, his way of speaking has actually grown on us. And it's quite refreshing, they say.
Yeah, it's kind of honest, but as well, I like someone who just says what they think.
Yeah. So Go-Eun goes in the water, and then she says, oh, it's at first she was like, it's not cold, but then she's like, it's actually cold. But the water looks pretty clear though, which was a really weird thing to say, because if the pool water isn't clear, I'm like,
not getting in the pool.
I'm going to question it really. This is not the sea,
No, but everything. No, I don't know what she meant by that, but because Korea's really clean anyway.
Yeah, I think it was
Very
an awkward,
clean.
another ditzy.
Yeah,
I think it was open the curtains kind of moment.
Yeah.
She didn't know what to say, I think. So she was just like, oh, the water looks nice. Instead of saying nice, she was like,
there's a lot of tension there in the air. That's why.
Yeah, murky. If the pool was murky, I am really questioning that.
I'm never getting in the pool there.
Yeah, she asks, can you swim? And he says, yeah, in elementary school when I went into the water, my body just knew what to do. So he's saying I'm like a fish. And she's like, oh, I'm not a good swimmer at all. And then he says, I'll teach you. And you'll get it in no time. So they hold hands, and he tries to attempt to teach her how to swim. And then she's not really getting it. And he's like, can't you put some muscle into it? And she says, my muscles aren't strong enough, and my muscles won't flow. I don't know,
That's a bit annoying. I didn't like that she did that. Try to swim, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. In this moment, I think from what I see with the Korean guys, they like a dainty kind of girl most of the time.
Yeah.
There are
some
a
of them
few that like
a
a hard,
Minji.
some of them like that. Minji's never admitting that, even if she doesn't know how to swim. Minji's never being like, oh, I can't I'm I'm so I have no muscle. She's never showing defeat. You know what I mean?
But
and I think that's cool.
I don't think it's a Korean thing. I think it's men in general. They want a dainty little girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most. I mean, yeah. They don't want an aggressive alpha woman. They.
And it's that cute thing.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's really, because that's why some guys like ditzy girls as well. Anyway, so but he's a muscle man. He goes to the gym and stuff. So again, it's not that compatible. But you're saying there's compatibility of we do the same things, we like the same things.
Why did you say muscle man? That's so weird. Do you mean a bodybuilder kind of thing?
I meant it as a joke. He's a muscle man. No, I meant it as a joke, but I forgot to laugh. But he's the guy that likes to go to the gym and stuff. You're saying, Minji likes people that are similar to her. Isn't it off-putting that she's got no intention of going to the gym and
yeah, I wouldn't like it personally. I wouldn't like it if I was him.
But again, guys, I think girls think about being very compatible with the person, clearly, and guys don't. Subin wasn't thinking like that, and neither is he. They don't think like that.
They're just she's hot.
They just have their type, and they're cute, they're hot, they're dainty.
Yeah.
So she asks, do you usually care about height in girls? And he says, not really, more proportions. They talked about that in the car in their first Paradise, remember?
Yeah.
So he says, short girls are fairies and tall girls are goddesses. But when it comes to guys, short guys are jerks and tall guys are even bigger jerks.
Yeah, very true.
All jerks like Sung-min and Hyun-woo, apart from me, he said. So
I like that as well. Very playful. I love their playful, it's effortless, their banter.
So she starts laughing, and she likes his jealous side, showing. Yeah. And she asks, are you jealous of them? Don't they bother you? And he says, yes. He says, in the game today, I won because I knew I wouldn't stand the sight of you going with someone else. I think that was the biggest factor. And then she says, you're good. And then, a moment passes. And then
that was hot. That to hear something like that.
Yeah. And then she's like, you're good looking. And he says, you're pretty. So they have a little back and forth moment.
Yeah.
And then she says, my left side's prettier. Only look at that side. And then he says, well, he swims around her and he goes, both sides look the same to me, which was sweet. And then the hosts are quite into it. And they're the way he looks at her is really sweet and really nice. And then
I don't
Da-hee
think it's
says,
sweet and nice. I think it's like
no,
really
yes,
like sexual tension and like energy.
yeah. He's like, he's got like
He
those
wants to jump on her kind of
predator
thing.
eyes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
literally what Da-hee says. She goes, he looks like he's ready to pounce.
Yeah.
That's how I felt looking at. Then that's how I felt
Yeah.
looking at him. I wasn't thinking sweet eyes. I was
But
thinking,
I
oh
feel
my
like
god,
she's
he's
ready to
gonna
pounce as
like
well.
jump on me.
Yeah, but I feel like it's so reciprocal. Like she looks like she's ready to pounce on him as well.
No, she's welcoming it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he keeps looking at her in the pool and says, your face is cute. And she asks for specifics, but he doesn't give any. And she says, oh, so frustrating. And then he says, it seems like you don't get jealous that often, Opa. Only once in a while when I talk to Sungmin. And she's trying to dig for more. And he says, I try not to show it, but you and Sungmin walking this morning bugged me so damn much. You didn't even say hi to me. So then they're opposite in the pool. And she looks at him and she's like, oh, that scratch, he has a scratch on his body. And she's like, that scratch is really hot. This is where it's like, it's turning up.
Yeah.
Um,
She dialed it up there. She dialed it up.
I can never imagine a moment where you can say that to Sungmin.
No. Because A, he's not hot, B, he's annoying, and
even if
C,
he had a
he's
scratch,
like,
it would never be hot. It would be, you know,
and he
oh,
wouldn't
the
even
paper
get it.
doll
He'd be
got
like,
a paper cut.
yeah, but he wouldn't get it. He'd just be like, yeah, it was hard. Blah, 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 blah.
Just like, oh, this?
Monotone.
Yeah, this? Oh, okay. It would be like, the moment would go, it'd be really awkward.
Yeah, he'd kill it. He'd dead the moment.
Yeah, so she's like, okay, so that scratch looks really hot. You must have cats around too. Because she has obviously Sungmin and Hyun-woo, so she's like, you must have cats around too. And he says, oh, what, Sungmin? And so they're referring to the fact that he's the cat that's lurking around, and then they start laughing. So they have their little kind of joke.
But he is like the annoying little, thing.
Yeah. So she looks thoughtful, and I kept feeling like something was going to happen.
Yeah, me too. No,
Constantly between these two, I was like, what is going to happen? This is going to evolve into something. Like the sexual tension was a lot.
Yeah.
And he says to her,
if the cameras weren't there, don't you think so? It would happen. Something would happen, obviously.
Oh yeah.
They look like they can't contain themselves.
Yeah. So they're still on the opposite sides of the pool, and he says to her, what are you thinking? Because there's like a moment of pause, and then she says, like, I was just thinking, should I go to you or not?
This was amazing, this part.
Yeah. And then he looks at her and does like a little coy smile, and she says, what? But he shakes his, because she's like, what's your response to that? And she's like, what? And he shakes his head and he's like, no, I'm not going to answer, because probably what he's thinking is like, sick, dirty, or whatever. So he's like, get your mind out the gutter, shake it off.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what are you thinking? And he says, well, I'm thinking, will
you come to me?
Will I come to you or not? So she says, you come to me. And then he goes around and she meets him.
What he said that, will you come to me or not?
So she first says, should I go to you or not? And he says, will you come to me or not? I'm thinking, will you come to me or not?
Okay.
And then she says, no, you come to me. And then he goes around and he's like, I'm going to go around. Like, I'm just going to come directly to you. So building up more tension. Yeah. And then they end up meeting.
He's really good at that as well. He's really good at that. And he's a good flirt.
So then they end up meeting in the middle. And she asks, do you feel the age gap between us? Is it too big? And they hold hands and he says, well, if we don't feel it, does it matter? And then he looks at her and smiles and says, like, I think I like you. The female hosts say there's no heavy physical contact, but they are so sexy together.
Yeah. Very
true. There's no heavy petting.
I wouldn't say so sexy together. That's a bit weird. Wait, I know what they meant.
Who said that?
I know what they meant. You know what they meant. Like, there's a lot of...
No, I know what they meant. Yeah. But they also like...
It's like you can't stop watching. Yeah. It's like, energy.
And then Jin-young, the host, says, this was the best pool scene of the entire season. Kyung-hoon Kyung-hoon, one of the hosts, imitates the will you come to me or not? Like, he does this pose by I-Geon and the smoldering eyes, and he just like acts it out. It's really funny. So the host...
He's good at smoldering as well. I-Geon's very good at the smolder as well.
Yeah. So the hosts feel like her feelings have definitely shifted to him a lot, And Da-hee, the female host, says, I feel like she thinks I-Geon is a little too rough around the edges for her, but she can't help but feel drawn to him. The others make her feel relaxed, but there's an underlying tension with I-Geon. It's complicated, and I think that's why she's intrigued with him. Which is the only reason why she's still interested in Sungmin has to be the fact that she thinks that maybe the rough around the edges and the fuckboyness of it all is too much for her.
Yeah,
because otherwise
option.
you'd be all in already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he looks like the safer option, and then this is the like, you know, like what could happen here? Like, I don't know.
Really and truly, it's not even Sungmin versus I-Geon. It's I-Geon versus the rest of the world. Because when she gets out, there's going to be so many guys. So it's do I want to deal with this fuckboy for the next 6 months, or do I just want to jump out and just be with someone else new and try whatever's out there?
But it's also I-Geon against that's what.
It'll be I-Geon against the rest of the world, because Sungmin in real life is not really for her. She's just like, do I go with him because I'm stuck with him for a bit of time, or do I just not go with either of them and then have the pick of whoever I want after? That's how I think about it in my head.
No, but also the same thing for him. That's what I'm saying, because if she picked him, then he's going to get so much attention as well, and she'll be worried about that as well, wouldn't she?
Yeah. So they're poolside, and Go-Eun brings her model side out for a pic, so she starts doing poses, and he does the same.
Yeah, because he's an actor.
I kept thinking that, and what you just touched on, it's going to be really difficult, I think, for her to go out with him because of his career and everything.
And her as well, because she's constantly going to like different photo shoots.
She's a model stuff. The fact that they both admit that they're very openly jealous, but his it's gonna be very tricky, and he's constantly gonna be around loads of girls. In general, he is probably, and then he's gonna get way more attention now. So it's very difficult for these things to last, I think.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking about this reunion. I guess it's like, where are they now? Who's together and who's not? But anyway. So he asked, what age do I...
I thought that as well, straight away. Like, I want to get to the reunion, like, right now.
Okay, so these next 2 episodes are quite quick, so I think we'll get through them quick. We'll get to the reunion fast. So he asks, what age do you want to get married? Because they're now off on the pool, and I think they're eating or something. They're sitting on the deck chairs or whatever. And she says, well, I want to get married 28, 29. He says, huh? Like, at first he's like, okay, but he's like, what? He's like, that's not far off. Isn't that like 2-3 years from now? And he says, I'm not confident I can get that rich within that time. And she starts laughing, like, which is nice, because it sounds like he's not put off. Like, he's not saying, oh no. He's like,
yeah, because you can tell how much he's into her as well by that statement as well.
Yeah. So the hosts, so they both start laughing, and the hosts say, well, he's moving fast. Like, they're both moving fast. Yeah. And she says, well, I can earn money. You don't have to be rich, which is also sweet. Yeah. And he says, so do you like what ifs? So this little game he wants to play, like what if game. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, sure. And he says, if we got together, what do you think we would argue about the most? She says, about the way you talk, which has been brought up before, obviously. And he says, but I think I would fix it right away. Like, if you don't like it, like, I'll make sure I talk right. And that's a great answer. Yeah, and the female hosts say, well, look, also he is older. He's the oldest contestant here as well. Remember, he's like 32 or something, right? 33.
I thought he was 34.
Yeah, maybe 34. That's what I thought originally. So, I was being nice, giving him some extra years. But the female hosts say that this conversation is so delicious. I don't know if that's like a literal translation. But
yeah, but it's
that's a nice way of putting it. That's a nice way of putting it. So Jin-young says they're talking about next level stuff. Like, they're already talking about the stuff after. Yeah. And then Go-Eun says, like, I get angry easily, but I forget easily. And he looks over and she says, what, do I sound dumb? Like, because he looks over at her when he says that, and he says, no, I wasn't thinking you were dumb. I was thinking you're cute. And she says, if you ever did something to make me angry, I would just keep it to myself until the following day. Then I would forget about it. And he says, if we were in a relationship and you did something to make me angry, hug me and I would be over it. Easy. I'm easy. And that was it.
I doubt that. But that's nice that he said that.
That was end.
Yeah. Now, are you really excited for the next episode? I told you they're going to be a bit more boring on the next 2 episodes because I've seen them. But the reunion, I enjoyed that a lot. Especially one of the episodes.
Basically, from here, just to let you know, my thoughts are it's going to be Go-Eun and I-Geon that are leaving the
At the
island
end, I
together.
talking about end
Leaving
goal.
the island leaving
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
However, there is this weird, like, 10% of me that thinks there's a chance for Sung-min.
Okay. What about Hyun-woo?
Hyun-woo's
What do
going
you
to
think
go
about?
and stand next to her, and he's not going to get her, so that's just
Okay,
what it is. And Sung-min's going to
interesting.
stand next to her. So it's going to be those three lined up in front of her. So we're yet to see the Hyun-jae date and Joo-young date. So
Oh,
depending
okay.
on how that goes, but I'm pretty sure that she's fallen on Jae-jin, unless Hyun-jae really pulls it out the bag. But he's still standing in front of her no matter what. And
What about Mina-sue?
I have
Mina.
a feeling no one's going to stand in front of her. And that is going to be the best.
What about Minji?
It will just depend on how Sung-hun and Hee-sun go now. I think if Hee-sun cuts off Sung-hun very fast, he will have no choice but to run back to Mina-sue and stand in front of her. But it will just depend on his feelings, how strongly he feels about Hee-sun.
What about Heston and her feelings towards anyone? Who's
So
she gonna
I
pick?
think Subin will ultimately be in front of Hee-sun. I think
Okay,
that relationship is stronger.
and what about Minji?
Seung-il will be standing in front of Minji, and I do think in the end Minji will be with Seung-il.
And what do you think about what about you just said about the whole Ye-jin situation, didn't you?
Ye-jin? Jae-jin?
Not Jae-jin. Hyun-jae. Hyun-jae.
Yeah, he's going to be in front of her, and she's going to pick Jae-jin, I think.
Yeah. Okay, that's what you think. Okay, so
That's
that was
my
our
predictions.
episode. Don't forget to like, share, comment. Let us know what you guys want to listen to next, because we're going to be doing more Korean stuff. Like I said, reality TV, Korean reality TV, variety shows, and we're going to be doing a variety show we've got coming up pretty soon, which is Agents of Mystery. We need 5 stars, so rate us, please. And also on this podcast, and also subscribe, because we're going to have so much coming up for you this year. There's going to be so much continuous stuff for you lot, and we're really excited to get sink our teeth into it, aren't we?
Yeah, so
There's so
excited.
much. So yeah, comment, share, we're on social media as well, so YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff, Blue Sky, Twitter,
Subscribe.
Instagram. Subscribe to this podcast. Bye.
Bye.